Suge Knight stands in front of me with a gun in his waistband.
Suge's already in the room. Did I see guns? Everybody on death row was walking around with a bulletproof vest on. It was a part of
Death Row.
People say you ran death row like a cartel.
There's no violence, there's no sales. You come from that ghetto, all you got is a dream. If you believe enough, that dream becomes your reality. But if you dream too much, that dream becomes your nightmare.
It was really almost like a military camp where, okay, you know, Suge is setting down what we need to do. We need to arrange this, we need to do that, whatever. And everybody was about getting their job done and doing whatever job they needed to do.
It was no secret that he hired most of the guys from his neighborhood that probably had done 10, 15 years in jail. You know, we doing records, but this is some crazy dudes around here. Yeah, you kind of knew that.
And Suge leans over and tells me to lay my seat back and lean back. And he just pulls out big old 45 and just starts shooting out my window. Hot shells popping on me, and I'm like, what the f, you know? It was pretty shocking. And he getting out of the car like it was nothing. But I was starting to develop in my mind that this guy is really bad news, like it's bad karma, like this has nothing to do with what we're supposed to be doing.
If you thought you was gonna create a problem, you had a problem. You found yourself tossed upside down. One thing people knew about Death Row is they wouldn't bullshit and they would whoop your ass with no questions asked. If you stepped on the red rug, if you answered a phone, if you parked in somebody's spot, you gonna get your ass whooped.
Some people died. Some people just got beat up. A few people got rat-packed. You know, they got in the way or the Death Row was on a mission.
He had huge houses, he had lots of cars. He could come to work every day in a different car for a month and never drive the same car. To be honest, Suge was just two-faced. He was two-faced and he really wasn't a man of his word. And I'm telling you, that day that he set me up to be beat up, I never thought, I had no inkling that that was gonna happen that day. He had planned that whole thing all weekend. He was ready. He had one of his girlfriends bring the girl up to the office. They snuck her through the back door. The girl that jumped on me, she was dropped off by a girl that was one of his girlfriends. This girl came out of nowhere and she soccer punched me, stomping me in my face. And Suge had me by my feet. And David Kenner just stood and watched. So then when I kicked him in his nuts, that's when I got familiar with the back door. So when I ran out the back door and I ran over the Interscope, they must have knew something was happening because they locked the door. So you couldn't go in.
They would have fights in there, with girl fights in the offices, where they would put the assistants against other women, and they like literal girl fights where they would open up, like in the middle of the floor, where they would, like it was like boxing matches where women would fight. And I never saw the fights. They would just tell me about them. Dre told me about them, and I was just like, who does that in the offices?
Suge walks into my office, closes the door behind him, stands in front of me with a gun in his waistband, you know, which is right about eye level to me because I'm sitting here. He says, Gary, you've been disrespecting Dr. Dre and the DOC. I said, hey, Suge, I do everything for them. I don't want to hear that. I want you to sign a letter saying you're never going to disrespect them again. You know what I'm going to do if you don't do that. And the way he said that, I didn't even want to take a chance. So I write on a piece of ruthless stationery, I will never disrespect Dr. Dre and the DOC. I was in front of Suge Knight and really in serious fear.
It was no secret that Death Row Records was involved in drug trafficking. The big piece of this is the fact that we had police officers working in the organization and police officers on different levels. You know, there was actual security guards that were actually doing security for various artists, and then you had like these confidants, which I believe Gaines and Mac and Perez were part of that crew. They were willing to do anything for Suge Knight.
A local congresswoman once described him as one of the new young black entrepreneurs. Others describe him as a thug. In any event, the death row lifestyle that earned him a big reputation. In this Hollywood recording studio, he pistol whipped, fired a shot at, and threatened to kill two brothers after they used his telephone. Other charges. 2 years ago, witnesses say Kelly, a 28-year-old construction worker, was knocked to the floor, kicked and beaten with metal chairs. Kelly was beaten to death by up to a dozen death row thugs. No one has ever been arrested for his murder. The DA's office cites conflicting stories and witnesses afraid to testify. The Jamersons blame Suge Knight.
During this party, an associate of Puffy Combs had essentially been kidnapped into one of the rooms where Suge Knight, Tupac Shakur, and several members of Suge's gang entourage literally beat the hell out of this guy. He almost lost one of his eyes. It was events like this that caused Puffy Combs to realize that when he comes out to the West Coast to promote music or conduct business, he was going to need street-level protection. He connected with a Southside Crip gang crew that began to do homeboy security for Bad Boy Records when they were out in Los Angeles.
It was serious, that whole, just Suge not liking Puffy at the time, and just about everybody on death row was walking around with a bulletproof vest on every day. Bulletproof vest was a part of gangster rap.
We about to get on the tour bus, and these dudes came over, and they was like talking crazy. Y'all niggas this, y'all niggas that, this. And I seen Suge kind of just turn this way and gave him one of these. Bow, like that, and knocked dude down the hill, and it looked like a cartoon. Dude was rolling down the hill, boom, boom. His Tim's came off. He's a street dude. He's a real street dude. But Suge knew talent, and he knew business.
Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr.Dre. For life of the West Side.
Death Row can be bigger than Motown, or Sony, or Warner Brothers.
Here's my commercial for DeathRow Records. If you come to Death Row, you will see your art brought to a bigger plateau, and you will be paid one of these days. Death Row, come on. Next year, Death Row gonna start printing our own money. Because we making so much, we need to start printing our own money.
You gotta realize one thing, Tupac is Death Row. He the type can be like a brother and a friend because he real. He don't get caught up in the booth. Into the Hollywood. He just wanna make sure he do a great job for you. And he gonna represent you to the fullest. As long as you representing him to the fullest.
Suge doted on him.
They were inseparable. Tupac was with him all the time.
I think Tupac did make some adjustment in his life when he came to Death Row. I think he brought a great deal to Death Row, but he also took on that Death Row image, so to speak.
He started living that image, man.
It was like the Wild Wild West. Our secretaries had guns. We had shotguns in the corner. We had Uzis. And, it was insane.
Being on death row was like being in the hood, man. Some people ain't cut out for that, but everything you seen around that was G'd up. You had to be G'd up, otherwise you gotta go. Squares didn't make it, baby. In the beginning, it was beautiful. Everything was beautiful. Then it got real.
Say a good one time a week, you see somebody get their ass whooped.
Once a week, somebody was getting their ass whooped.
I can't really recall and say, oh, he hit him, but I know I seen some asses get whooped. On the real, I seen some motherfuckers get fucked up.
And it wasn't just a one person. It was just a way of.
Suge was famous for applying the old mafia tactics. And you instill fear in everybody by, and one person, excuse my language, but I mean, so we in there in the room, and the guy just walks in. He wants to, he has no idea we're in the middle of a meeting. He wants a record deal. He walks in and he says he know how to rap. So Suge says, okay, rap. If we don't like what you do, we gonna kick your ass. He said maybe 3 words and they just lit his ass up.
What can he really do?
Man, this street, this gang, Gangbang violence come with gangbang.
You say something wrong, you get smacked. If you come late, you get smacked. If you do this, you get smacked. That sounds to me, it was like pimps and hoes. Okay, I'm the pimp and you the hoe. And if you do something wrong, I'ma slap you. And me, I not the hoe.
I probably did if I could recall, socked a few people in the eye and did some shit if I could recall. You know what I'm saying? But I can't recall. I can't recall.
Man, I've never been to Death Row Studios without my gun. I never knew what to expect.
The image had to be upheld. This is Death Row Records. When you come here, you got to have your chest out, your head up, and your hammer cocked back.
Under threat of his life and telling him that they would kill his mother and that they were holding me hostage, under those kinds of duress, got him to sign releases for Dr. Dre.
It's the competition out here. California don't care. California is one of the places where they ain't caught up in running and trying to get autographed. They want your bankroll. They want what you got. One way or the other. That's why they need you living out here. But it's good.
A good deal of what Suge Knight did was to give people what people really want. And Suge had the marketing sense to know that this is something that everybody really wanted. They wanted this kind of gangster thing, this gangster shit, as I said, going on at the time.
America loves gangsters, and he found a new gangster for America, I think, and said that we can sell it.
Dre didn't want to put up with what was going down, man. I mean, you got to realize he had most of the new artists was the cream of the crop from the street. Man, you had artists in there drinking all night, smoking, doing whatever. And, you know, ass whoopings was going. Dre didn't want to be a part of that.
More cutthroats involved and more shiesty people, you know, and I think I've met them all.
It's impossible to go from being a bodyguard to selling 25 million records in 5 years. That's impossible, and he did it.
He wouldn't leave the extra tactics, the untouchable tactics and all that extra stuff he was doing, he wouldn't leave it behind. It's a great businessman, though. If he could have left some of that behind, he'd be on these streets and Death Row would be on top still. He loves his community. I mean, you can't hardly forget where you came from. You won't know where you're going to. But he showed he loved his community. He always gave back.
He gave jobs to all these Bloods and these gang members and guys who were criminals.
The success comes from the streets. Before you even cross over and go to pop, the ghetto gotta accept you first. When the ghetto says thumbs up, then you get kids in Utah say, everybody in Compton, Long Beach, and Watt is playing this and dancing to this, looking at the video. It's all right. You know, this the new thing going on, so we can buy it. So you gotta go with the ghetto first, period.
There was a perception before that the only one could have big major companies or the white guys or the rich kids. And in the poor black man from the hood is not gonna get no company that's gonna be worth some billions. It's just unheard of. Well, Suge shattered that.
And that's a different thing now that is part of the industry that wasn't part of the industry, I think, pre-Suge. Up until that point, they would go in and raid the ghetto and sign the guy and take everything he had. Suge was a guy that said, we should get half. You know, we're making the music, we should get half.
He brought street culture, the street mentality right into corporate America. And it was fearless, you know what I mean? It was a take no prisoners kind of approach to doing business in this industry. If I was Suge Knight, I would love to have that kind of mythology around me because it sells records.
So just sonically, they had the best producer who was doing the best hip-hop records, some of the best pop records in the country at that time. So that's one thing, we can't discount that. The other thing is, the Death Row artists became the successors to the bad boy image that used to be rock and roll's image, that I'm a rebel thing. And I think that's a big part of why they succeeded. They were dangerous, they were fun, they were sexy, and that's always been rock and roll. Death Row, it says gangster rap, and you may scare the hell out of you, but that's why it's great.
Rap music speaks to more young people across this world than any other music, regardless of their race, ethnic origin, or religion.
A line has been crossed, not just of taste, but of human dignity and decency.
I'm going to the studio to make Bob Dole mad. I'm finna go make Bob, I'm finna make you real mad right now. You with Dolores Tucker. I'm finna make a hit for y'all right now called We Love Snoop, F all y'all.
This is a business, this is not some personal. You can't come to me and say, don't let your guys curse, and it's selling records. And it's coming from their heart. I ain't with that Hollywood shit. I'm with the real. And the real is letting people do what they want to do.
Money. Everybody's beef with Death Row at the time was money.
The beginning of my career, Suge Knight had everything in his name. I don't know if it was good or bad, but it was the business. And when I got on No Limit, the first thing Master P did was took me to buy a house. Well, next day, you and wifey go get a car. All this shit is in my name, so you need to own your own shit. You don't even know the business. You know the show, but you don't know the business. This shit is called show business. 3 years on No Limit, I'm gonna teach you the business.
And what's so bad about that, cuz? If you want your own shit, buy your own shit, nigga. I know the game, cuz. I was a kid. I understood it, cuz. This shit ain't mine. And we had money coming through each month, so we ain't have to worry about anything but paying our bills. So now we can just go to the studio and work. So no, none of that was ours, because we didn't buy it. Because that's the way Suge does business. If you don't like it, beat it, and good luck if you can get off. Don't you notice how Suge changed the game? Everybody should thank him for what he did. Before Suge, they was doing that with all the other artists. How come with Suge it's so highlighted?
I appreciate everything that I learned and seen around there. I met Tupac at Death Row, you know? But I feel like Death Row has taken and shook up so many lives. It's like, dang, what did we do this for? Is it real? Like, is this a record label, or is it really like a street gang, or what was it? You know, so at the end of the day, I just feel like now we still affected, like the energy, the negativity that's surrounded with this place. But the overall disturbing fact to me is that this vibe has been going on, and you know, a lot of the staff, if you even partially familiar with Death Row, a lot of people from Death Row are dead. A lot of people got killed. All of this violence is just taking lives that don't even have to be taken away. It could have been something different going on that day, you know? So it just hurts me that, you know, Tupac died, Heron, Buntry Al, there's so many people, I can't even name everybody that died, you know? It was just a negative aura around that place that I just wanted to leave. I'm cool, I'm away from it, and I feel like maybe he got excited about the negative attention. I've met people that are similar. I don't know, maybe that was him. I was cool with Suge, I knew him. I mean, you know, we had a personal relationship, but I don't know him deep enough to know, like, I never talked to him and said, man, why do you do this crazy shit you do, you know? I just got to the point where I didn't care, I didn't want him around me.
It was wild at Death Row. When it was Death Row, it was wild like that. No one can, like the wild parties and, you know, how Can-Am was ran with dogs fighting in the sound booth. I know about how Death Row was ran. I was around parties. I was cool with them. In the beginning, what Suge stood for and what Suge always will stand for, he will stand for what's right for if someone's doing you wrong and you're on his team. I'd rather him stand for me than have to be at odds with him and have to really go hard with him. You know what I mean? Like, because if something is wrong, he gonna stand with you. He gonna fix it. If you his people, he gonna fix it. You talk to people from back in the day, like a lot of our business people that we deal with in the beginning, people love Suge. You know, I mean, they do. They'll tell you like, yeah, he started off being like this, but it's like when everything played out, it just became out. He just got consumed with his own self and forgot who he was. Yeah. You know, and it's a powerful thing. You know, fame, success, money is a powerful thing in this industry we're in. You know, we forget. You know, but I think we need to learn our own lesson. I don't know what consumed him, just the fame, the money, the success. I don't know, because he wasn't that guy in the beginning. He always stood for let's make it right. Yeah. I don't like how people are getting done. Let's make it right. Yeah. But that's like the big brother type. It turned from the big brother to being the big bully. When that's who you are, this is what happens. I kind of wish he was out, you know, to experience what we're all experiencing, because he was a major part of our success, I think, you know. I believe it, you know what I'm saying, because he was that guy that pushed the line for us in the early days, you know, for all of us, you know what I'm saying, for the rights of artists, for a lot of people. You know, a lot of people be like, oh, Suge this, Suge that. He helped a lot of people as well.
For the crime which the defendant has been convicted in count 1, defendant is levied a term in state prison of 22 years. prior conviction the defendant has admitted. He's lived an additional 5 years in state prison for a total unstayed term of 28 years.
White, a fall for Knight since the height of his career in the 90s.